But that's something that you have to learn. What can I eat? What can I keep down? And so there was learning there. Shoes. Shoes were really important. I figured out I needed 2 pairs of shoes, a lighter running shoe for some of the less rigorous terrain and a heavier trail shoe that I needed to protect my ankles, because a rolled ankle, a sprained ankle, I'm done. Nobody runs 50 miles on a sprained ankle. Clothing, wicking shirts, compression shorts, all those types of things. It really took a lot of mental effort to figure out my race strategy, what I needed where, what I needed to do to get there. Looking back, I think I probably studied more in preparing for Leadville than any final I ever took in college. I ran a lot of stairs. We'd go to a local football stadium and I would run the stairs, usually for more than an hour at a time, trying to do some hill training preparing for this. Ultramarathoners also engage in something they call long back-to-back runs. And this was a whole new world for me. If I used to go out and run for maybe 30 to 45 minutes, go run, 3, 4, 5 miles, I would come home tired and think, wow, I really had a long run. Well, the long back-to-back runs involved this. I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would go run for 6 hours and come back, go to work, do whatever I need to do for the day. The next day I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd run 6 hours and then do it, and then go on. And that was one of the best training tools that I had. It did 2 things for me. One, it helped me build up the physical stamina. It's not like running for 30 hours, but there is a certain plateau that you will reach, and I think a lot of times it occurs after 3 or 4 hours, that your body starts getting the messages. Okay, this guy's not going to stop. We need to adjust and accommodate. But probably even more importantly is the mental focus, discipline, and toughness that it gives you. And I do remember the first time I went out on one of these long back-to-back runs, looked down at my watch, and it was just short of 2 hours. And I said to myself, I'm not even a third of the way done. But you accept it, and then you just get to work and get it done. The other thing that I'm very fortunate that I had the opportunity to do was go to a training camp that Leadville sponsored. About 2 months before the actual race, people could go out and they had a weekend training camp. So those were some of the tools that I used to help me prepare for my dream. So what are the tools that you need to employ to help you achieve your goals? If you're thinking about career growth or certain position that you want to be in, what are your tools? Sounds like you're going to get quite a few of them today. Is there a certain education that you need? Are there certain training courses that you need? Are there certain experiences that you need to be exposed to? Of course, work with your managers, with your mentors. Make sure that you get the tools that you need so that you can be successful. That's the way it is anywhere. If you want to build a house, you need the right tools to do it. If you want to run a race, you need those tools that I had to do it. You want to grow in your career? Pack up your tool bag. That's what's going to get you there. The dream by itself is fun, but if you don't follow it up with creating a plan and getting the tools together, it's just a wish, and it's not going to happen. Most of the time, when I meet people or this topic comes up about the Leadville 100 that I did, the thing that keeps ringing back in my mind as to what the common thread is, what people say, and they're very nice about it. They just lavish me with praise and they say, that was just an incredible individual accomplishment. I accept praise after you get it. It feels good. It's affirmation. But to be honest with you, the instant I hear that, I know that they're dead wrong. This was not an individual accomplishment at all. It was a huge team effort. My favorite number is 100. I'll keep coming back to that. I can sit down and write the names of 100 people down on a piece of paper that I believe were instrumental in helping me finish this. You might think that's an exaggeration. It's not. It's probably more than that. So many people did things that helped me get through this. If I had done this on my own, it wouldn't have worked. Some people helped out in big ways, some people helped out in little ways. But it was because of my community, my network, that I was able to, I guess, enjoy this dream and now reap all the rewards from it. I feel a little bit guilty sometimes because a lot of those people deserve, some of the praise and recognition that I keep getting. And we don't have time for me to tell you about all the things that people did for me, but let me just give you some examples of what some of those things were. Remember those long back-to-back days that I told you about when I walked around for 6 hours? I actually had people who would meet me during the middle and towards the end of those runs to keep me company, keep me motivated. Really inspiring. I never could find anybody who was willing to run with me at the beginning of those runs. That's all right. In small ways, just the encouragement, the sense of respect that I got from people when I told them that I was doing this. That's great. You can do it. I admire you so much for doing it. That was really powerful. Once people found out I was doing it, they would know somebody who had maybe done a race like this before. And they would actually go out and seek information, find articles, send me tips. Make sure you do this. And to be honest, I used a lot of those tips. So I had that going. I jumped on the internet onto some listservs because, again, I didn't know what I was doing. I know a lot more now than I did before because now I've been through it. Now, I must tell you that on the internet, most of the people who were contributing to these listservs were very negative about people like me trying to do Leadville as their first ultramarathon. But there were a few people in the minority, and this is what they wrote. They wrote, "You can do it. Now, it's going to be hard. This is a tough race. You can't not go in with proper training. You need to do whatever. Put in the long back-to-back days. Get your miles in. You need to make sure you have the right equipment." All the things I needed to do. But they said, go for it. Give it your best shot. And you might think, well, gee, someone who doesn't even know me, is that really that big a deal? Is that what should inspire me to keep pushing on? It's more powerful than you think. Because at some point I was starting to begin to doubt. I was like, well, yeah, I want to do this. This would be really cool. But now, thank you for having me here today. I was really looking forward to this. Caterpillar actually used to have a major presence where I'm from in the Quad Cities, and it's quite a privilege for me to come speak to a group of people from such a first-class organization, so thank you for that. One of your colleagues, Paul Thompson, used to be a student of mine, and I would like to thank Paul and Adam Legacy for providing me the opportunity to be here with you today. Well, today's talk is a little bit about long-distance running, so I thought we might start by going outside and running 10, 15 miles down the river and back. Just kidding, of course. I had the most amazing and exhilarating experience of my life last year in running the Leadville 100. And it has changed me in a lot of ways. And while I love talking about the subject of the race, I think what's more important are the life lessons that I learned from doing this. And I think there's a lot of relevance to what happened to me at Leadville and to what's going on here today in your training. Thought I would just start off with a little bit about some information that was new to me less than 2 years ago. I was just visiting with someone this morning. They said, I'd never heard of a race like this. Well, it's not very popular. It's starting to gain in popularity. But the term ultramarathon might not mean anything to most people. So a little bit of education here. An ultramarathon is any race that is longer than the traditional 26.2 mile marathon. So some ultramarathons are 30 miles, some are 50, some are 70, some are 100. There's one out there that's even 135. And Leadville runs this ultramarathon every year in the month of August, and they've been doing it since 1983. So to start today off, why don't I tell you a little bit about this race? The race is what they call an out and back. So we started in Leadville, Colorado. We ran 50 miles out into the mountains and 50 miles back. Pretty easy, right? For those of you who have not heard of Leadville, it is a small rural community that is located about 75 miles west of Denver, Colorado, and it's nestled up right in the Rocky Mountains. And what's unique about Leadville is that it is the highest city in the United States. It has an elevation of 10,350 feet. Now, the race that I ran, the average altitude was 11,000 feet, which is more than 2 miles above sea level. You probably heard of Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. That's a mile high, and so Leadville would be twice as high as that. Now, in the Midwest, we are about 1,000 feet above sea level. And what that means is that the barometric pressure out in Leadville is about 1/3 of what it is here, which makes it very difficult for the lungs to take in and process oxygen. Translation for the non-meteorologist, it's really difficult to breathe. The 100 miles consisted of about 8 miles of pavement, 12 miles of dirt and gravel road, and the remaining 80 miles was mountain trail. And as you can see from some of the slides, some of that mountain trail was pretty treacherous to go through. Most of the time there were rocks protruding from the pass, and it was very mentally taxing to look overhead for the trail markers while at the same time looking down below to make sure that you weren't stumbling or tripping, which I think I still fell on my face probably about 40 or 50 times throughout the race for lots of different reasons. One is what you learn in this kind of race is after a while, mentally you start to shut down, and the communication that takes place between your brain and your muscles is not entirely clear. There were many times I saw the rock that I tripped over, and I looked at that rock and told my brain that that rock is about 8 inches above the ground, and it communicated to my foot that I needed to raise my foot about 10 inches above the ground to get over the rock, but the foot didn't quite get the message and only went about 4 inches, and I would hit quite often and go right down, just get back up and keep going. Let's see, there were 6 major mountain climbs during the race, and 2 of those mountain climbs ascended into the sky about 2/3 of a mile. Sometimes it's hard to visualize height, so I thought I'd put in a picture that might help you see it a little bit better. Imagine taking a 100-yard football field and standing it up on one end, and then stack 11 football fields on top of each other. And that's about how high that we ran. Or if you've been to Chicago and have seen the John Hancock building, Take 3 of those and put them on top of each other. And then run that climb that after running 42 miles and then doing it again after 52 miles. The race also had another unique feature in that we had the opportunity to run through a creek. This creek was 3 feet high and 25 feet wide. And so we had the pleasure of running with wet feet for a while we were out on the trail. Experienced a lot of temperature fluctuation. As a matter of fact, it went from a low of about 25 degrees to a high of 80 degrees. Now, I know what you're thinking. 25 degrees, that doesn't seem too bad. And when you're running, you're hot, it probably is pretty refreshing. Well, the problem was we would hit 25 degrees after running for about 18 hours. And so by that time, whatever energy your body has is being used to try to keep moving, and there's not a lot of energy left over to create warmth. So that 25 degrees actually felt more like 10 below. And experienced all sorts of weather. I ran through rain, wind, sleet, and hail. When I came back, I just about signed up for the civil service exam because I thought I was ready to become a postman. Leadville has the lowest finish rate of any ultramarathon in the world. Of the 468 people who started the race, less than 45% of the people finished. The race started at 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, August 20th. We ran all day, we ran all night, we ran into the next day, and I finished a couple minutes before 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. As a matter of fact, I had 2 minutes and 17 seconds left before the cutoff, which means that if I had run each of my 100 miles 1 1/2 seconds slower, I wouldn't have finished on time. So I feel very fortunate and very happy that I was able to finish this thing. Leadville's also the type of race that's different than other ones that you might do, because so many little things can knock you out of the race. Things that you might not think of when you're just doing a running race. You might think, well, all right, if I eat well and I get in good aerobic shape, I'll be able to finish any race I start. That's not the case in Leadville. A blister on your foot could knock you out of the race. A slight pull in a leg muscle, experiencing a little bit of nausea, might knock you out of the race. To illustrate, one of the most famous people in ultramarathoning is a woman by the name of Pamela Reed. And last year she gained worldwide fame because she was the first person to run over 300 miles at one time. Did it over the course of about 3.5 days. Pamela Reed was at Leadville last year, and she didn't finish. So I'm very proud I finished, but I'm even more humbled that I was able to finish when a person far superior in this type of activity was not able to finish. It just wasn't her day. And that's one of the realities of ultramarathoning. Some of the best runners, they might run 7 in a row, finish under time and do really well. And on the 8th one, it's not that they're not in shape, it's just not their day. I learned a lot of things after running Leadville, and I've had time to reflect on that. And it's changed my life in a lot of ways. Some small ways, some big ways. My favorite number used to be 7. Now it's 100. I grew up on a farm. I used to think that the definition of a long day was working from sun up until sundown. After running Leadville, my definition's changed. It's 29 hours, 57 minutes, and 43 seconds. 3 numbers I'll never forget, the time it took me to complete the race. But on a more serious note, Every once in a while you meet somebody in life, or somebody will say something to you that really has an impact on you. And that happened to me at Leadville. The founder of the race, Ken Klauber, tells everybody who runs the race this quote. And his quote is, "You are better than you think you are, and you can do more than you think you can do." And after having an experience like Leadville, I can tell you unequivocally, with 100% confidence, that's a true statement. You are better than you think you are, and you can do more than you think you can do. Now, I've had a chance to tell you a little bit about the race. What I would like to do next is try to give you a little bit more of a feel for what it was like to be at the race. My little sister and my wife brought a video camera, and I'd like to share some of that with you. Hold on. I don't want you to worry. I'm not going to make you sit here for 30 hours and watch the race. It's only about a 9-minute clip, but I think it will give you a little bit more perspective as to some of the things that I was going through. So we're going to watch that DVD right now, and then we'll pick up after that.
How are you feeling?
I want some new socks.
Okay.
Okay, your favorite pair? Yeah. Sorry, Okay. Awesome. Oh, packed. Okay, I will see you guys in 2 hours and 15 minutes. 11:45 is a good time. Oh, do I need more meds? Did you get my bags for me?
9 and 10.
Are they in my bag?
Okay. Bye, John. Take it easy.
Minutes behind his target time, but it was really great at the last station, so I'm sure he'll be coming in anytime soon. There's a little bit of cloud.
Keep across the line. You can share Dad's medal. How about that? What do you think about Dad's finish? Good. Were you tired running with him?
Not really.
No? Okay. Very good.
What I think about Dad is that he works really hard training, eating right, and preparing for this race. And he really deserves this victory. When I look at my dad, I see a hero inside. I see a man who I will become soon. I see a man who wants to become to have children.
Comment on the race.
It's awesome. Man, he's got so much spirit, so much courage, so much determination.
Thanks for bringing him in, Terry.
My honor.
I had 5 minutes to spare.
Oxygen here.
1.5% of my humor left.
That's right. Leadville next year. Go ahead, I'm focusing in on Michael as I say that. You want to spend your birthday? Thanks again.
Well, it wasn't on the slate for the most recent Academy Awards, but it's my favorite movie of all time. Anybody here interested in ever running 100 miles? You might be wondering what I might have to say that would be relevant to what you're doing here today if you have no interest in running 100 miles. As a matter of fact, I think that there are a lot of parallels between Leadville and life in general and in career planning and career development and career growth. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 41 years old. I did not play sports in college.